and I'm so excited to bring up our first act. You may have seen some of the what he was testing here earlier, and I'm looking forward to this actual performance. It's called Making the Piano Fly, a new perspective on interactive piano performance. Let me just give a few words about Professor Ralf Schmid. Few artists have anchored the mixture of analog and digital sounds as broadly and deeply as the pianist Ralf Schmid has in his project Pianook. He performs on 2 grand pianos with Mimu data gloves, which is also an instrument, which is super interesting, where you unlock new potentials for your own instrument. Okay, we only have 1 piano here, but I'm looking forward to how you are about to make the piano fly. So come on up on stage, and please give a warm round of applause for Ralf Schmid.
Eins, zwei, drei, vier.
Ja, besser.
Wunderbar. Guten Morgen. Good morning to everybody. Thanks for coming out. It's a music conference. It's early, so I want to start with some music. Get back to your latest dream and just fly a little bit with this piano and my gloves. Max, I think you can turn it up a little bit. It's super soft compared to the sound check. Thank you. This was my song, Impromptu Reggae, and as you realize, it's a kind of a hybrid thing I'm doing here. I'm a piano player, and at the same time, I'm a digital musician, I'm an electronic musician, and I've been doing this for some years, and I just want to show you why and how I came to this very special setup I'm showing to you here this morning. So I'm a piano player from scratch. I played the piano my whole childhood. I studied the piano. I studied classical piano. I studied jazz piano. And I've played the piano in all my career, but I also did other things. I was working a lot on scores for large ensembles. I was orchestrating, arranging, composing for choirs and big bands and orchestras. So I always dealt with one thing that was very dear to me. One of my most important parameters in music was the aspect of tone color. And once you go back to your piano, there's a lot going on in the piano and there's a lot of possibilities, but I just want to expand that at a certain point. So in the beginning it was an experiment. I just thought, why not take stuff that's already there and go with that. And the first thing I did was buy a bunch of foot pedals, because it's very cool to be a guitar player. You can walk around, you press a foot pedal, and you have a different sound. And I was looking for that. So the next slide should come up here. Okay, you see a bunch of foot pedals here. I mic'd my piano like I did here, and I put the sound through different guitar effects. And it was a lot of fun to do. Some worked super well. For example, the delay was a lot of fun. Putting a delay on and playing a rhythmic piece on the piano, you could go on for hours. Playing long notes into a chorus or into a flanger, that was all working very well. Some didn't go well, like distortion. I always had these problems with feedback and so on. But the guitar effects did me a huge favor to escape from the natural piano sound or to just add on something. Then you see more tools on the right side. John Cage has done amazing stuff with the preparations he did with the nylon screws and the rubber many decades ago, and I was inspired by this. I worked on that as well, and I did some add-ons. As you see, a kitchen tool. I like to cook. I'm an ambitious cook, and so when I looked into my kitchen, I saw some stuff that I could experiment with, put it in the piano, on the strings, under the board, whatever, and new sounds came up, and also other tools like table tennis balls. So it was all cool, and especially the combination of that was very cool. If you combine a John Cage sound with a delay or whatever you see here, it's a ton of possibilities, and it's really lovely to experiment with that. The thing is, when you want to go from song to song, you need half an hour to change the setup, because you need to get out the screws, you need to change the pedals. It's very inconvenient as a piano player to tap with your feet because you don't see them. So it was just hard to do a performance or a show out of this. So this was at home, jamming around. And in the same time, of course, I got attracted, like everybody here in this room, by people like this, by people doing, let's say, the whole digital world. Looping, sampling, working with electronic sound. All this was an endless source to me. I want to expand sound, so it was very logical to look in the electronic world, in the digital world, to expand my piano sound more. And the thing to do was, the first thing I did was creating the effects with the computer. I worked with programs like Logic, Ableton, with plugins, so I got rid of the guitar effects and just did the same thing in the computer. And the cool thing was I was able to control the thing while playing. When I wanted to have within a piece a huge reverb or a sample started, I could just put it. Normally I work with a grand piano, so it's flat here, so you can put a controller on and you can just press, so it's not that far. It's something you can get into a flow, into a musical flow, when you're an improviser and when you want to switch from song to song, you press a button, so you go into the next effect setup. That was quite nice, but as you see, I also put up some tools here that are quite dated. If you know gear, this is not the latest stuff that you see here in my slide. It's old stuff, because this is a long time ago. When I got the chance to make this project more serious, going from experiment to a real serious project, there was a point when I was invited to an artist in residency in Oslo. I had a room with many grand pianos. I could set up my gear. I had a PA. I had all kinds of stuff. And I was able to experiment and put something together there. And shortly before I went there, I got a call and somebody told me, you need to check out this tool. And maybe you've seen this last year with Kelly Snook. These are the Mimu gloves, done by a super innovative and really very helpful and nice company in London called Mimu. And these people, they constructed a data glove for musicians. And the moment I put them on, it was a big revelation, because I felt that things that I'd done as a piano player for centuries, no, not for centuries, but in the history of the piano, it was centuries, and I had learned it and did it for years. To work with my body, especially here with my fingers on music, it's very organic, it's very natural. So that was the best bridge so far between my being an instrumentalist and the digital world. And of course, I don't want to re-explain that, because this was probably done by Kelly Snook last year, how the whole thing works. You have X, Y, Z controllers in your finger. In every single finger you have a sensor, and you can map that to all sorts of MIDI controllers. So I got rid of the controllers. I have my gloves here, and trigger. Now I'm working only with Ableton. I trigger Ableton effects. I morph them while playing, as you've just seen. And these gloves have become really important to my setting. That's why I dedicated a song. It's called Glove Dance, and I just want to play you a short excerpt of it, because I'm looking at the time here. But I want to just show you how a super simple, little funky piano repetitive phrase can turn into something completely else, and how you can just map these changes to a very natural movement, as you will see. So here's a bit of glove dance. As you've seen, I'm changing from song to song with the gloves. There are knobs here and buttons. So if I press a knob, my next setup comes up, and there should be something. Yes, it's the new song. I could even loop that. and so on.
Wow.
That was Glove Dance, and one more minute of slides about what happened to this project. Here you see the two pianos. You see an unprepared one on the right side, and a dirty one, the Beauty and the Beast, and some people working on a computer problem, not on music. That's the downside of tech. This is the ZKM studio in Karlsruhe, where we set up for the first time an audio-visual setup. I'm working with a great artist from Italy, Pietro Cadarelli, who designed these clouds. Here you see a rehearsal. This was my premiere in Freiburg. And here you see a little bit of the setup that I used in Brazil last year. So that was an introduction of how I went from an instrumentalist to a digital musician, but keeping both worlds together in, to my perspective, a super organic way. And I think Yolanda has some more questions.
Let's give it up one more time for Ralf. Wow. So impressive. Very cool. Okay, so my first question is regarding your relationship to technology and how that has evolved. Did you have to learn coding and programming, or what does this look like? What was the connection here with the glove specifically?
No, I mean, I'm not a super tech freak. I don't have the time, and I like a good piece of technology, you know, to improve my life, travel, cook, and especially play music. It's great to have technology, but I'm not a programmer or something. And I think it's easy. It's very well done by Mimo. There's a software where you can just map gestures. I think the big thing we have to master is the gloves, because there's a lot of delicate stuff that's happening if you're not aware. Yeah.
Okay, and do you think that this is the future of music?
Well, it seems very natural. I think technology is, on one hand, is very democratic because there's cheap stuff on the market, so it's not, you don't have to buy a grand piano to start playing music. And on the other hand, I think this is very organic, as I said, because it's the body, it's the fingers. So I think the variables, and there's more stuff that is wearable on your body to produce music, to produce sound, is the future. Yes, I think so. Okay,
and when you say democratic, do you think that this is actually going to be creating more access for people who maybe not have had previously access to a piano or to this type of music creation? Is that what you think we're heading towards?
Probably yes. I mean, if you look at a music university today, you either enroll through an instrumentalist program, or maybe if you're lucky, you enroll into a jazz or even electronic music program. But the bridge is really hard to find. So I think this opens up for many kids who are there, who maybe play in the school orchestra, but at home they program beats or so.
Okay.
So it's, yeah.
And do you get any form of backlash or criticism from other classical pianists?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think the scene opened up, and this is the moment. I mean, it's happening everywhere in the world, and especially in Berlin, that the piano gets some new ideas, some new twist.
Okay, and we got a few questions in also through our Slido, actually. So let's take them. The one is, what is your approach to mapping with gesture? And the other one is, do you get any specific sensation on your fingers?
Okay, I take the first. What is your approach to mapping with gesture? This is something I had to learn. In the beginning, it was so cool to have millions of possibilities in the same time. You play the piano, you just go like this while playing, and it alters the sound. It can alter the sound tremendously. It can open up a huge space or go into distortion. You can map all that, but it was not visible for the audience, so it's not natural. So things like I just did, like boom, tuk, this is very obvious. And so I try to find gestures, looking in the mirror while practicing, that are very obvious and that are very connected to the music. The glissando, the arpeggio I was doing in the beginning, going up and down. It comes back to easy gestures. Okay, second one, any specific sensation on your fingers? I'm not sure if I understand right, if there's a signal or so. There is a vibration motor here that gives you, for example, a little vibrating when you change a program, when you step to the next moment of your song, and it just gives you whoop, some little thing, but not on the fingers.
And one last question, just because I'm curious. Would you call yourself part cyborg with these gloves?
No.
Okay.
I'm a human being.
Okay. I think that's open for discussion. But thank you so much for this, for taking some of these questions. And I'm going to give it back to you for another segment, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ralf. So let's give it up one more time.
Okay, I'll do one more song for you. It's by Radiohead. I'm sure everybody in this room knows that song. It's called Everything is Right Place. And for the beginning, because this is tech people here, I just tell you that I sampled the 3 chords of that song and put it into an endless loop. And I can play it here with my left hand. I can do this with another sound too if I go for a different gesture. Or this one. This is just a sampled piano, but of course extended. And when I do this in my show, there's a visual thing also attached, and you will see my right hand putting some dirt into it, and then I try to play the shortest version of Everything is Right Place that's possible. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Let's give it up one more time for Ralf. Amazing. Pianook, what an experience.
Coincidentally, there's a release tomorrow. It's just a pure coincidence. So if you're interested, this is released by Neumeister. Some wonderful people are here. And
very nice.
Give it a try.
And can guests get this here today as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah. Good to know. Cool. So we're going to take a very quick break.